To the family talk. This your boy Coach A. I'm here with my fellas. Say what's up, fellas.
Chef
What's up, fellas?
Jimbo.
You got B in the building.
Nathan here.
Then you got Nick.
Pastor Times.
And
Uh,
Justin.
Justin
Random
Westfall.
white dude.
yeah, that's our random white brother, Justin. Exactly. And we got Johnny Drip chiming in. For some reason, we can't get his video, but today we're talking about mental health, men and mental health. Kind of a taboo subject, but it's very important because it's something we don't talk about a lot. So stay tuned while we hit this little. We're going to the outro, right? Intro, outro,
We're going to the intro. We'll be
intro,
back.
and we'll be back after a second. Going to hit them switches.
Tell 'em I ain't mad if they ain't know. You know I ain't mad if you love it. Ain't nobody ever take this moment from me. So nigga, while I got it, the fuck it, it's all good. It's all good. Straight up, it's all good. Tell 'em it's all good. Tell 'em I ain't mad if they ain't know. You know I ain't mad if you love it. Ain't nobody ever take this moment from me. So nigga, while I got it, the fuck it, it's all good.
Yo, welcome back. This is your family talk. Quick question, fellas. I know we call this the barbecue, but it seems like breakfast talk to me because it's early in the morning.
I know, right? Nah, you're right. It does seem
Who
like
says you got to put a time limit on barbecue though?
Yeah.
That's
Well,
true.
my mom used to be like, you can't eat that stuff in the morning. But anyhow, it is family talk. That's what's most important. And we're talking about men and mental health. So
getting a little serious
definitely
today.
we have some serious topic today about mental health and the suicidal rate among men. A lot of times men keep their emotions to themselves and they don't really speak out, which is definitely not a good thing because how can you get help if you don't speak out and people don't know you're going through something? And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. So make sure those of you that chimed in, leave a message. Let us know what your thoughts are. And, we will get people in to hear their experiences and, what they've been through, what they, learned and stuff like that. We're probably going to try to keep it limited to a few. Like we try to get you in and get your opinion, and then we'll just keep it moving and get somebody else involved. So just be mindful of that when we bring you in, we may get you out. So let's go ahead and start off with we got some wonderful guests today. First of all, our pastor, our leader, Pastor Times, right there in the middle, sir. How you doing today?
Great. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome. It's always a pleasure. So talking about mental health, we know you just your background and exterior and extensive knowledge in this dealing with people and especially kids and growing up. So I know that you have a lot to say on this topic. So please let us know how you feel and what you've learned.
Well, just to start out, I want to give you a little bit of background about me as far as it refers to mental health. I'm a 25-year veteran of the public school education system here in Manatee County, Florida. But on top of that, I've spent an additional, one of my other jobs and other things I've done. I spent a lot of time doing what you do, Coach A, mentoring, working with young people, but also I worked as a mental health technician in a mental health facility. So I do have hands-on experience and a lot of understanding of how mental illness works and how it affects people. One of the biggest things, and I want to start out by saying this about mental health is, if you look at what is called mental illness, if someone gets sick, if they catch a cold, or as we just came coming through this pandemic, someone, spikes a fever or looks like they may have coronavirus, there's no hesitation to get them to the hospital because we know that they're ill. But when it comes to mental illness, oftentimes we treat it as if it's some hidden thing that should not be talked about or addressed. it's treated as a taboo, and no one wants to think about medicine. Yet, if your kid was diabetic or they had any other sickness or illness, you would not hesitate to give them medicine or anything that would help them. Yet, when it comes to mental illness, we won't get the help that people need. And I think that's one of the biggest things that we, as just people in general, has nothing to do with race, but just people in general, we have to get away from that stigma of mental illness is taboo, or it means that you're broken or something is wrong. There's all types of illnesses, and they need to be addressed. Mental illness is a form of illness that needs to be addressed because it not only affects the person that needs the treatment, but it affects those who are connected to them and their family. So that's why I'm excited to be on here today to talk about mental health, mental illness, especially as it pertains to men, because men notoriously are not just terrible about going and taking care of mental illness. We don't like to go to the doctor or go get checkups like we should anyway. Most men, a lot of, we're working against that and trying to educate people. But it's one of those things where you need to take care of yourself, not just your physical, but it's also your mental. Me personally, your spiritual, and we're not just a singular being. It's not just about how many muscles or how much physicality we have. It's about, are you mentally sound? Are you emotionally sound? Because these things make us a complete being. So with that being said, hey, here we are. Thank you for bringing me to the table. And my thing to those who may be listening is, what is your take? What do you think mental illness is? Because one of the reasons I think people don't treat it is because we haven't called it mental illness. We've called it a lot of other things. A lot of people call it, it's different. Or, as one of my favorite things, they out of the movie Life, they just can't get right. But we got to take these funny little monikers off it and call it what it is. There's an issue. There's a mental illness, and these things need to be addressed. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. That's what I seek to do and hope that we can do today as we have this conversation.
So quick question. I'm gonna swing it to you, Justin. In regards to that, you can either, of course, respond to what Pastor Ryan said, or just tell us your own experience and how you feel about the subject of men and mental health.
So I lead. I do a thing every year. We all know what Movember is. Well, some people know what Movember is. It's No Shave November. So for Tropicana, I lead that group. And that's based around men's health and men's mental health. So I'm not going to talk about everybody else's stuff, but like my own stuff and my own struggles, which I've had for years. Like early on in my career where I struggled with stuff, trying to talk to other men about it, like I was shunned and laughed at and made fun of. And when you can't even talk to people that you associate with on a daily basis, people that you depend on for things, it's a hard pill to swallow. So for those that suffer with it, you retreat even further back. So like I already don't talk a lot anyways about my feelings. I've always been like that. But that's another harder pill to swallow, is when like your fellow guys that you work with that may or may not go through the same thing as you can't even talk about it because I turn around and make fun of you. That's a hard deal. So like now, as we move forward with this, and this is more of a talked about thing, I think it's great. However, part of me feels like it's also a great thing, but also kind of in the right light, it's a great thing. But I also feel like part of it is we do this just so we can bring some attention to it, but it still doesn't get addressed the correct and proper way.
Mm-hmm.
You can talk about your feelings. However, at the end of the day, you're still a man. Put your feelings aside and do what you need to do. And I mean, I see it from both sides of the table. Women are shunned that way as well. If a woman says something about mental illness, or you think that someone's like, oh, that bitch is crazy. Well, no, it's not. She's got struggles just like I've got struggles, just like 10 other people behind me have struggles. And rather than saying that, the pull yourself up by your bootstraps shit, it's like, hey, take a minute, listen to what their problems are, you can help by just listening to a 10-minute conversation. You allow somebody to get something off their chest, to open up, to just be a shoulder. So like, next month is Pride Month. I am an ally. Not everybody is open and accepted of, the LGBT community. Doesn't bother me a bit. Everybody's a human being. Everybody needs somebody to love, to marry, to be miserable with for the rest of their life.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter what it is. We're all in this together. We all have to work. We all have to do the same things.
True that.
Why can we not, be able to talk to people open and honestly and kind of, I get it. Like I don't show you my true self all the time, but also I like to keep some stuff to myself, and that's accepted. That's fine.
So, question, we're gonna swing it to you, Johnny. What do you think about this topic? Are you the man up type, or you say, hey, you just need the man up man, or do you agree with Justin and Pastor that you just have to, it's good to talk to somebody about it? What's your take on that, Jay?
It's always good to talk things over with people. You have a person or people that you can, go to and get what's on your mind, get it off your chest. Me personally, I have a couple of people that if things get too much for me, I go talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm also a believer that in certain situations, you do have to just push through it and, put aside whatever's your feelings and push through it, get the job done. Now, afterwards, man, once again, go talk about it because it is important, especially for men, because society as a whole, put men in this box. Us as men, we don't have feelings. You know what I'm saying? Apparently, they forgot we're human beings. You cut us, we bleed. We can feel pain. We can feel love. We can feel loss. We can feel sadness. And somehow that's just, when you say man or look or men, and somehow that don't come across because, most men are not open about their feelings and things like that. Like Pastor said, we gotta, stop putting these little funny monikers on it and dispel all these notions of, he can't get right or, stuff like that. And as Justin said, you go to somebody and you try to talk about your feelings, another guy, and they laughing at you and they, oh man, you weak. Oh man, this and that and the other makes you shut down, hold it inside. The next thing you know, somebody went over the edge and they did something to themselves. And that's when we hear about all those tragedies. Because as men, we deal with a lot. Not saying women don't deal with a lot, but as men, we deal with a whole lot because of our expectations of men, being a man. It's hard out here. And to have somebody or a group of people to just say, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is what's bogging me down. This is what's weighing on my heart and mind. And for them to not judge you and be like, you know what? I'm here for you. I go through the same struggles and, bouncing back and forth, and help one another.
So you mentioned about being soft, talking about your feelings and stuff like that, or when you're having those issues. Brandon, what do you think about that? Do you feel like have you ever felt that pressure, like you wanted to talk to somebody, or you was gonna feel like they felt some type of way about you? Or have you ever experienced that with somebody else, or seen somebody picked on because of that, or just your whole thoughts of this mental health topic, men and mental health?
Absolutely. I can only speak for myself, and I know I have an issue with talking to people. My brothers can tell you that right off the cuff. I have an issue with talking. And that's the issue I'm still trying to gravitate myself and growing with my walk of life, and still trying to grow and get to that point where I can go to anybody and talk to them. I've been in those situations where I feel like I'm backed into a corner and I won't talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Because of the genre of how the world is perceives us as men. Like, I feel like if I have a such situation or I have a thought going on that I need to talk about, I feel like the next person gonna tell me to man up. You know, and stuff like that weighs on my mind.
Mhm.
And like Johnny Drip said, you know, as a man, we carry a lot. You know, we lead our households, we work. A lot is asked of us, and we do it because that's what we were bred to do. We do it, but the conversation is never talked about. Like, I was talking with Sam, we got back from Florida, and I mentioned to her that past weekend, and a lot of people don't know this because, like I said, I don't talk about it. But that past weekend, I got overwhelmed when I didn't show it, but I got overwhelmed when I got back home, and to the point where I was in tears, and I got overwhelmed for the simple fact that we went to a graduation. My father wasn't there to watch his daughter graduate. I felt like I was in his footsteps as she needed help getting through this graduation. And I felt like I played that role of him that's something I wasn't prepared for. And that's something I would have never talked about with any man. I talked about it with my girl because, of course, you know, that's my girl. You know what I'm saying? I'll talk with her about it. But I didn't mention this to Nick or Nate or, you know, Jimbo, Coach A. I didn't call nobody and talk about this. But I felt overwhelmed because I felt like I was playing that role because he wasn't there. And it bothered me. It bothered me. So I definitely have been in multiple situations where I don't talk to anybody. You know, I have my mother who I talk to on a weekly basis. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm comfortable with talking with my mother. But I'm still not there where I can talk to a man where, all right, I'm feeling overwhelmed in my own household. You know what I'm saying? I'm feeling overwhelmed for work. You know what I'm saying? And I appreciate my brothers, man. I appreciate them so much. I was talking with Jimbo earlier this week, and I told him that I was mentally wrapped. You know what I'm saying? And I had something going on with work. And the following morning, Nick called me and made sure I was okay. So I know I have people I can talk to, but because of how the world sees us as men, I don't go to these people and talk. And this is where I have a struggle with in my own life, where I need to talk. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel emotional right now even talking with you guys. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's tough. Mental health is real. I've never considered myself that before. And as we brought up this discussion in our meeting, all week I was thinking, what type of mental health do I suffer from? And I think I suffer from some type of depression at times. And that's not just as a grown man. I think even as a child, you know, growing up, depression. You know what I'm saying? And whatever the case may be, or whatever happened around those times, like I've gotten out of a marriage. I've ran through depression in that marriage. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of things that happen within that marriage. That a lot of people. Hold on, give me a sec.
So it's important to know or to have someone you can reach out to. And to me, that's where a lot of people go wrong. Of course, it's just my perception because I don't have the statistics on it. But having someone you can talk to and communicate with, like, you know, Justin, you said you had that program or something that you're doing. I think that's awesome. And then, of course, pastor is a pastor. He's always there for us to speak to. And then you have close brothers. But the problem is having people that understand versus people that don't understand. They're not educated and they're just telling you to man up and stuff like that. Jimmy, what's your take, brother?
Oh man, all right. My take is this. I was gonna go a whole different way, but
you can go whichever way you want to, though, because it's important. There's different aspects of mental health, and there might be someone listening that can relate to what you have to say. is, you can always respond to, what somebody else has said, but if you have a different route that's within that scope, by all means, people need to hear it.
I alone, but I to piggyback off of what Brandon said, because Brandon and myself, we went through a similar situation with previous relationships and marriages and things like that. But I can say, like, through my situation, what before I say that, I would say I've always been a laid back kind of guy. But there's a situation in my life that took place regarding my mom. She's no longer here, but she went through. I'm just gonna be transparent. She went through some anxiety problems at one point in her life. Well, what was told to me, I believe I was in middle school or high school at this time, but just seeing her go through that, it kind of hit me in a different way. And my grandmother always told me, like, Jimmy, she's no longer here either. She told me, like, Jimmy, like, there's somebody out there that always got it worse than you. And like a lot of things happened in my life. I didn't fully grasp it at that time, but later through my life, I grasped it. Like with my mom, I grasped that later on in college, and with my grandmother, I grasped that later on in my life as well. And just seeing my mom go through that and listen to my grandmother, it kind of hit me to the point, like, okay, like it sounds kind of cliche, but how I go through life now, I really take stuff one day at a time. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna, like, okay, I have a situation, it's not going away no time soon. Let me just walk through this process. You know what I'm saying? One step, like Bill Belichick, one day at a time, one play at a time, and that's one moment at a time. That's how I look at a lot of things in life. Mm-hmm. And regarding with touching bases on what Brandon said as well, like both of us dealt with the failed marriages and things like that. Honestly, I don't know what I would have went through if I didn't have people like my pastor. He's my dad, he's my father, him and his wife, and Nick and his wife. I had other people that were there for me, but Nick and his wife and my dad and his wife, they were the ones always calling me, day in and day out. Hey, what you doing? You don't need to be alone. We're going to come pick you up. Even if I was running an errand with them, they was running an errand for their house. So if we went out to eat, they were always there calling me. You know what I'm saying? Like, nah, you don't need to be alone. We're going to come get you. You know what I'm saying? And that I never told them. Maybe I did. I don't know. But they helped me out tremendously. Like, I don't know if y'all know, but I'm going to tell y'all now, thank y'all so much if I haven't told y'all. But I tell people all the time, like, that I can't put into words how much that helped.
We'll have a show for that. We'll have a show for that, for you can go ahead and do all your thank yous and stuff like that.
But it's real sentimental to me though. Like seriously, I'm not showing it, but like that means so much. And by me saying this, I'm gonna say, like, it kind of goes.
Yeah, I was gonna say real quick, Pastor, we're gonna get back to you. But Nate, I want to swing it to you because you have a twin. You guys, Nick and Nate, are twins, so you would think you guys always have someone to talk to. So I want to know, how would you deal with it, or have you dealt with it, and do you talk to your brother about everything, or sometimes you just keep it to yourself? Is it the same, even though you have someone real close that you could talk to?
It's weird because, like, I probably had my brothers, me and Nick probably talk the most, and we do talk the most about the situation, and not mental stuff, but we just discuss a lot of stuff with each other, and I don't really talk to nobody about anything, like everybody's up here saying, and it's weird because, like, I'm the guy who always want to talk about the elephant in the room, but this is one subject that, you can just kind of shy away from. And it's easy to do that. And I don't know, it's weird. Because even talking about it right now is like,
it's weird. So
you
what
want to
about
have
Nick?
a discussion, but it's weird to have the discussion.
Yeah. So Nick, what about you from your perspective? It looked like you was muted. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I'm just along with everybody in the room. I mean, like Nate said, we talk about a lot of stuff, but when it comes to stuff like this, I mean, I keep a lot of stuff to myself. Like Jimmy said, it's one of those things where I don't know if it's a coping mechanism where you just say, one thing at a time. I'm gonna just get over it and move on. You just put it in the back of the room and say, I'll sort through it later. But
Mhm.
I mean, like I said, I mean, I got a wife. I talk to her about some stuff, but even some stuff I don't. I mean, I don't know if it was just because growing up, that's it. My mom showed us a lot of love, and we could talk to her about anything, but it's still just some stuff you just just don't talk about. Just like Brandon said, like when our dad passed, I mean, I really ain't talked to nobody about that. Talked to my wife, and even to this day, she still asks me about it, and I just say, I'm okay. I just keep moving. But
Mhm.
it's like Nate said, it's still kind of weird just to sit here, especially on live, talk about everything that we go through as men, because sometimes
Yeah.
we can't talk about it. Like Justin said, I mean, most of the stuff I can probably talk about. You will hope people won't make fun of you about it, but you just don't know how people are these days. So
So I'm gonna swing it back to you, Pastor, because and this is I know this is a touchy subject because Jimmy just expressed it, and Nick and Nick just definitely expressed it that they have close family members that passed away, and I know that you've been through this as well. Me, I haven't. I had my grandmother, and we was real close, but not as close as a mom. And so, go ahead and tell us about that, Pastor, and what not only how you was able to push through it, but how what's your technique in helping other people?
Well, I'm glad that I've been trying to hold my peace because there's a few things I really want to say.
I
First
saw
and
it.
foremost, a lot of what we've been talking about, and let me first say I admire everybody's strength. And a lot of times, it's not an easy thing to become kind of transparent in this type of environment in front of people, and especially through those that may be watching us, whether they know us or not. So one of the things is what we're dealing with. I want to be very clear. You have mental illness, but you also have mental health. Uh, we all have some varying degree of mental health. That means sometimes we can be stable and be fine, and we're operating at a great place. And at that time, our personal mental health as well. But what we all experience, and we were talking about the loss of loved ones, the loss of a family member, what we don't talk about, this is a word that many of us need to learn on a personal level. The word is trauma. We have
Hmm.
trauma in our lives that goes unaddressed. When you lose a loved one, that's a traumatic event. A lot of times we hear trauma, we think it has to deal with someone attacking physically or something like that. No, no. Trauma happens all the time. Some of us have had traumatic events. Jimmy, the situation you were describing, watching your mom have anxiety, that was a traumatic event. That's why it's burnt in your memory. We all have these different traumatic events that help shape our mental well-being and how we view things. And one of the hardest things is that I heard, I think it was Nick say that, I just kind of push some things to the back and just deal with it one day at a time. Well, there's a danger in doing that because here's the reality. Think of it. You say I put it in another room in my mind. But what happens when that room gets full? And then you can't take anymore and you get to that breaking point. So those are things that's one of the reasons why we have to learn to have the difficult conversations. And one of the things that oftentimes, and like I said, I can't speak for everybody, but I know in a lot of times in certain socioeconomic groups and certain cultures, therapy is not an acceptable choice. I'm gonna just say it like this: Black folk don't. They think if you got to go to a therapist or counseling, oh, you must be crazy or
You
you got
crazy.
something
Yep.
wrong. No, no, no.
Yeah.
You need therapy is wonderful, and I know people be like, oh, a pastor that talks about counseling therapy. Absolutely, I have nothing against psychiatrists and psychologists. They are a necessary thing. If you can't find someone that you can trust to talk to, pay somebody to listen to you and to give you good counsel. And from a spiritual perspective, you should want someone that gives you sound counsel. I think oftentimes we make poor decisions because we ask the wrong people to pick. Oftentimes I think we get a better understanding and have people who will listen to us. And one of the things that happens, talking about traumatic events, dealing with children, I put it in this. One of the things that I deal with now, my position now is what they call a behavioral technician. So I deal with children with challenging behaviors and people who have challenging behaviors. And one of the things that happens is when our feelings become what they call invalidated, that means that people don't acknowledge how you feel. And this is something that people at different levels of mental health or mental illness deal with. And what that means is that so oftentimes people are trying to reach out for help, or they'll come and say, hey, I'm feeling some kind of way. And what I think Justin was talking about, how they'll pick at you or ridicule you or make you feel weak or try to say you're soft. All those things, a lot of times when they do those things, it's because they're not equipped mentally or emotionally to deal with whatever it is that you bring to the table. So oftentimes they'll attack you, shun you, or push you away because they don't have any coping skills and they're not ready to deal with that. So it's a very big thing to know that you are important and that how you feel matters. And especially for us as men, we've been taught by society, and I heard someone say this earlier, the exact opposite. We've been told our whole lives, don't cry.
Mm-hmm.
You got to be tough. You got to learn how to fight. You got to sing. All those things may be true, but what's wrong with crying? What's wrong with acknowledging I have this feeling and I need to deal with it? Because the longer I bottle it up, the more it begins to affect me. Not always in a good way, in a negative way. And I won't put anybody on blast, but I can't tell you how many, especially young men I've seen, you wonder why they seem so angry. It's because nobody stopped to validate those young men and tell them how they feel is important, that they're not crazy, that they have a right to be mad that daddy ain't in the house, or that, you know, they're not where they should be, and that they're not strange or weird for feeling how they feel.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what has happened. That's why I think these conversations are so important, because if we're going to change anything, it has to start. I personally believe it has to start on a personal and individual level. Every one of us has to take that step and say, hey, I'm going to help another dude, and I'm going to help another guy. I'm going to help my brother or somebody. It doesn't even have to be somebody you know. If you see somebody that maybe a coworker, maybe y'all ain't no besties, you know, but if you see they struggling, say, hey, I don't know what it is, but I'm here. It's just offering that moment, just offering that opportunity, that safe place to say,
Absolutely.
I may not be able to fix it, but I can listen. And if I can't fix it, I'll do my darndest to help you or point you in the right direction and say, hey, I know a guy, I know a therapist, I know a counselor, I know a psychologist. Or, hey, you need to go, you know, if you're at work, hey, maybe you need to go talk to the boss or talk to HR and see if they can hook you up with a counselor. Most jobs now actually have counseling and things available with that insurance that they're taking out your check every week.
Yep.
But we won't use those resources because we are afraid somebody's going to think something's wrong with us if I go to counseling. Big mistake
Exactly.
and things like that. So I just wanted to kind of say that piece, though.
So let me put this out there, fellas. What about the signs? Like, obviously, most people, when they think about somebody that has some mental issues or something like that, they're always withdrawn, or they are, you know, depressed, or, you know, they always talking sad or acting sad. But I'm sure that mental health can be, you know, expressed in many different ways. And so that's what we want to get out, some of the different ways that mental health is expressed, because some people might not even know that they have some type of issue going on. They think that, you know, this was just how I was raised or just how I behave. So Justin, can you enlighten us on any of those things?
Yeah, but see, being withdrawn doesn't mean anything. I'm quiet in by nature. Around the right people,
Right.
I talk a lot. However, even at my lowest points of, you know, wanting to kill myself, I was still happy. I still have a conversation with everybody. You look at a guy like Robin Williams, killed himself. Inside, he was dying every day. I know that struggle. I've had a gun to my head. It's tough. You know, and when you have zero people to talk to, it's rough. It just is.
It is.
So identifying, obviously, that's part of it. What about anger? You know, if somebody is always angry, or is that a way or an outward expression of some type of mental health issue?
I think that's, you know, anger is anger, but, you know, unless you sit and talk to somebody, you know, that's a flag to be raised,
Mm-hmm.
maybe, hey, just to go try to have a conversation, not to force a conversation, but to, again, be that term of an ally, right? It's, hey,
Right.
I you seem like you're upset. You okay? You want to help? You want to talk? And if they say no, then it's no, and you walk away from it, and you give people their space, because forcing people to do things never works.
Right.
We all know that.
Mm-hmm.
You're never gonna force your way into my emotions. I will close down tighter than Fort Knox if you try to force your way in. However, when we are given the ability over time as people that we know that we are friends with, or family that care for us, or just friends that care for us, it's easier to just kind of say, hey, yeah, the other day I was going through some stuff, and you start a general good just conversation to where it allows you to kind of air a moment, right? And that's and just like a lot of things, like with me, alcohol, and my personal demons, like it's a little step that becomes a bigger process in a lot of things as you move down through what your struggle is, right? So it's it's all tough, and as men, where it's like, you're a man, you're tough, eat that sandwich and keep going because you have to.
Right.
At some point, you either break, or you're so dissected from everything that when you open your eyes and you look around you, you've pushed everything away. So like older men that, end up divorced, their kids don't talk to them, that went through mental struggles because they couldn't talk. That's the worst thing ever.
Right.
They've lost all that they know just because they don't know how to speak. And it's not their fault.
Right.
It's what's been forced on us from a long before any of us. Put it that
Exactly.
way.
So, Pastor, I know you gotta try him out pretty soon. You got some other stuff you got to do. So, we definitely want to pick up your last thoughts on this and anything you want to expound before you take off.
Well, like I said, it's a lot that I would want to say. I don't want to dominate the conversation, but
that's why we're getting you out.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. It's all right though. I love you, my brother. But back to the piece about trauma. I think oftentimes we don't really understand how trauma affects us, and there's also processes that we have to go through as far as coping and dealing. Understanding that there's a process with grief. I wanted to go back because I don't think I completely answered the last question. How did I get through some of the situations? Some of you may not know, but in 2017, I lost my mother in October, and 2.5 months later, on Christmas Eve, I lost my father to cancer. So it is a very challenging thing to lose a parent or a loved one, but to lose both of them in literally within a couple of months' time. And then not even a month after my father, I lost my mother's baby brother, who was very close to me, one of my uncles, who was also a twin, by the way. So I know you guys can relate to that. Imagine as a twin, you lose your twin brother. It's like losing half of yourself almost, that mirror image. But anywho, one of the things that really helped me is, because I am aware, I learned, and I come to learn, I don't have to be the strongest person in the room. So many people come to me as a pastor, as someone who they trust, and just as a friend, or just, a counselor, and they want to talk. And one of the things I had to learn is listening does not always warrant that you try to fix it. Some things are too big for me to fix, so I understand that. So, but it costs me nothing to listen. So I can listen. It costs me nothing to care. It costs me nothing to have compassion. So the things that a lot of times people need the most are things that really cost us nothing, except a little bit of time and an opportunity to show it. As far as for me getting through that difficult situation, I want to say this to those of us who have dealt with that and are still dealing with it. You learn to live with it. I don't think it ever truly goes away completely. And that's the thing about mental health, that if I was going to close on something, it would kind of be this. Mental health is just like anything else. You may be healthy. I'll equivocate this to younger men versus older men. When you're younger, it's a lot easier to stay healthy because your body hasn't had the wear and tear. It hasn't had the time and the years on it. As we age, our bodies respond differently to stress and responds differently to even just day-to-day activities that we used to do easily. But you hit 45, 50, you know, some of us are really great and young, Coach A, and you can still respond. But getting up in the morning, you feel the bumps and the bruises from the day before a lot differently. It's the same way mentally. Sometimes when we're younger, we have the ability to kind of press through and get over things. But as you begin to age, you begin to look at the totality of what has happened and what we deal with in our life. The things that we kind of push back and haven't dealt with, they begin to weigh on us differently. And that's why as you grow, you have to understand your mental health always has the ability and the capacity to change. So with that understanding, then we must make sure that we take the necessary steps, not just once, but continuously to monitor our mental health. Just like we go and get checkups at the doctor, you should at least get a checkup once a year, if not twice a year. But we should do the same thing. And one of the things I will say to you, those of you who are listening, become an accountability partner for someone. If you know you're dealing with the issue, find that one person that you can talk to. Seek them out. Do what you need to do. I don't know if you need to pray or you need to go get your counselor, whatever you need to do, but you should have someone that you can trust and be able to talk to. And that also is going to check on you. Because a lot of times we talk about, well, they didn't say anything. A lot of times it's not always what they're going to say outwardly. Sometimes you have to be able to be observant. If you care about someone, watch. If you haven't heard from them in 2 or 3 months, you pick up the phone, check on them. Go into the inbox or whatever and make sure that they're okay. Because like I said, mental health is something that can shift depending on the situation. I heard several of you guys talk. You were fine until, boom, this situation happened. Or I was okay, but then I had this situation. So that tells you that our mental health can shift just like anything else. You can have, if you're an athlete, you can have an injury and all of a sudden your career is over.
It's over. Yeah.
It's the same thing mentally. You could have some type of an event that could shut you down. And if you don't have the right therapist, you don't have the right people to help put you back together, sometimes it's hard to come back from those things. So
I think that part, Pastor, that part is sometimes difficult because as the person who would like to be the friend or would like to help, sometimes you just don't know. Sometimes it puts you in an awkward situation if your guy come to you, your friend talk to you about, some of his issues and stuff like that, and you feel like, okay. And so you made a valid point that sometimes you don't have to fix it. You can just listen, and just listening helps. It does a part into it. So I want to get to some of these comments because we definitely got people chiming on the side. I don't know who got the controls to put some of the comments up, but Maria.
Real quick, Coach,
go ahead.
Can I just say
go ahead.
I want one more thing. So you were talking about how we struggle with things. To the person that's dealing with the issue too, know this, that if you know you're at your breaking point, don't feel like it makes you weak to say I need help.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing. Because we've been conditioned not to ask for help, we try to be tough. We want to do it all on our own. It's okay to say, I don't know if I can do this one. I need help. And then if you come to that realization, be open. Try to be open enough to let someone help you, because that's another side of this. It works both ways. The person in need has to sometimes say, I need help, and understand it doesn't make you soft or weak or vulnerable or whatever. It means that you just need help.
Exactly.
I know, I watched my grandfather die of cancer, and when he finally passed, all my friends were so young. None of them had ever lost anybody. So, like, trying to talk to somebody, there was no way at all.
Yeah.
And that's, it's like, and then the guys that I did try to talk to, those are the ones that made fun of me.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's a weird thing. Now, granted, this is 20 plus years ago. We've come a long ways.
Yes.
But but what was said is just because I talk to you, I don't expect you to fix my problem. Just having that outlet is and can just absolutely make a world of difference.
So one of the things, just just to give my little insight on it. I've been just like much of you guys. I've been, in some of those situations. Aside from, wanting to commit suicide. Well, actually, I've had thoughts of that. Where the pressures get so big, you be like, man, I just wish I was just not here. I've never been to that extent where I put a gun to my head, but I had several times where I would just be walking around crying and just playing music, and that helps me having the right type of music. Like for me, it's Christian music. I had a few songs that I had locked in my phone that I would just listen, and it would just help put it in perspective. But one of the main things just for me that really helped me is that understanding that everything works like a tide. Everything works like a tide, meaning sometimes the tide comes in and sometimes the tide goes out. And so I realized when I going through different situations that sometimes it's just how I'm feeling is temporary. I might feel like this for the moment, but I'm not going to feel like this all the time, or, things are going to change. And so that just kind of helped keep me in perspective and not put a lot of weight of my emotions or my feelings on a particular situation that's going on in my life. I just try to keep a balance. And I know, different people have different techniques, and that's just one of the techniques for me. Another thing that I do just personally is I approach it from, I approach everything in my life from a mental standpoint, understanding that, how my thoughts dictate my belief system, my thoughts, how it dictate my behavior and my perspective. So, you can go through the worst things in life, and sometimes just by changing your perspective, looking for what I would call the godly factor, the positive factor in some of those things, will help you emotionally deal with some of these things. I know it's not always hard to do when you're in that situation, and it takes practice. Sometimes you have to develop that type of personality to be able to see something positive in, or something that's going on that's bad. But to me personally, at the end of the day, I'm responsible for my life. I'm responsible for my health. And so that's one of the things that I particularly use to cope with it, and also, speaking and talking to people that I trust as well. So I don't know what some of you other guys' techniques are, but it has to be something. And I feel like we all should have a technique or a way to deal with, these troubling times, or when we have trouble. So again, some of these comments, Matrix says, how many of you on the panel have a therapist that they go to on a regular basis and pay them to listen to your problems? I'm not talking about a pastor or a mentor, but a therapist. I think that a pastor, a mentor can work just as well as a therapist. Everybody can't afford to pay somebody. And so at the end of the day, it's an individual that you have trust in, that you're speaking to. And so a lot of times, talking to somebody who went through the same thing that you've been through, understanding how they got through it, can help you more than a person that just has a degree and understanding, about the human mind and the body. So I don't think necessarily the particular educational background is as important as the person that you're talking to and the trust factor. Just like Justin, you mentioned that you didn't have guys that you really can trust because some of the people would make fun of you, or some of the people never been through that. So I think that's one of the hardest things, is finding a person that you trust, that you can confide in. And that's the most important thing, is finding that person, because you don't want to be, you talk to the wrong person, they could make it worse, make matters worse. So, Brandon, what you think about that, sir?
Hey, real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
To all of our family members out there listening, all the ladies, we're gonna have a show next week strictly for y'all. But right now, we would love for y'all if y'all have any questions for everybody, all the men on the panel, please put it in the comments, or you can chime in. Send us your email. We can get you to come in. So please go ahead and ask any questions, just like what Mr. Matrix did. Ask whatever question you want to ask, and we'll get them answered. Go ahead, B.
I'm sorry, Coach. You'll repeat the question.
having a person to talk to. How do you feel about that? Having a person to talk to,
Oh,
a actual therapist, or somebody that you trust, or or is it difficult for you to find people to trust?
I can only speak for me.
Hmm.
I know who I can trust. I know who I can go and talk to. That person that I have in my life, that if it really gets boiled down to the point where I need to talk to somebody, is my mom. She's the person I look to, and without a thought, she's the person I'm gonna call. And she's the person that I'm gonna get advice from, and I mean, I think it's important for a person to have someone to talk to, because you don't want them to just not talk to somebody and be clamming up. I think Pastor said it earlier, and just putting something in the back of your mind and not dealing with it. Because I'm one of those people, like I said earlier, I'm one of those people that can put stuff off, not talk about it. I keep it stemming in my mind, and something little can make that bomb explode. You know what I mean? And I've been in those situations where that bomb has exploded because I've not talked to somebody. So yeah, I think it's very important that you have somebody to talk to. And just for me, that's my mother. I know when my father was living, it's like he can feel when something was wrong with me. And I know that sounds weird and cliche, but anytime something was going on with me, he'll give me a call. He'll send me a text message. You know what I'm saying? So I also had him to talk to. Like I said, he's not here no more. So I strictly have my mother. I know I can go to my brothers and talk. I can go to my sister. I can go to T, my other sister. I can go to a lot of people and I can talk. But if I had that one person I go to, I'm going to my mom's.
Drip, what about you, sir? Johnny Drip, you still there? We apologize. For some reason, we can't see his beautiful face today. He got this screen issue, but he's still here with us. Talk to us.
Yeah, I actually I have a therapist. And I got her like 10 years ago. And we started off, she was a couples counselor, because at the time me and my significant other was having problems or whatnot, and we went to her. We broke up, whatever, but I continued to stay with her. And she helped me out tremendously on the mental health aspect. I found a lot of things out about myself, going through life. I thought, well, I'm all right. And then when we got to breaking it down, then it was like, oh, I wasn't all right. A lot of things that I thought were just the norm and how I should handle things, and the way I should be, wasn't all right. It was actually hurting me. You know what I'm saying? So I believe in therapy. At first I didn't. It's like what Pastor said. In the Black community, you talk about therapy or going to see a therapist, oh, you're crazy. Something wrong with you. Because I grew up back in that era, and in my family particularly, to mention the word therapist, and they looking at you like, boy, ain't nothing wrong with you. You're not crazy. But now I'm very open about going to therapy. I'm very open about, communicating my feelings and stuff. And I think, that's a good thing. If you can afford the therapist, cool. But if you have a pastor or a mentor, it's like everybody says, someone you can trust, and you can bounce that off of them. And, and they can help you through these stages of, grief or whatever you're going through. That's good. Always seek that person out. No matter what, seek that person out.
I think I think it's kind of twofold. So like if I listen to Jimmy, I'm going to listen to Jimmy. The thing with a therapist is trained to kind of help pull some things out of you. Not necessarily just a therapist, but someone that's kind of been trained in that, in trying to help others. They're not a fixer. That's not the thing. All they're trying to do is to help you open that door so you can get a little bit of clarity about you and what you're going through. Only you can fix you, right? It's
That's
being
true.
able to see that wall that's in front of you blocking the way, so you can take a step to the left or to the right and try to assess and say, okay, I need to be more honest with myself. I need to stop hiding my feelings. I need to do this or that. And that's kind of the difference. You know, it's like I'll listen to anybody. But again, like Maria, I'm not a fixer. Like, I can't fix your problems. I'll be honest with you. I'm a fucking wreck. But I will listen to you all day long as a friend and do what I can to try to make you feel better within yourself. You know, but I will always tell you I can't help you. I can't make you better. But you know what? I won't shun you. I won't laugh at you. You know,
That helps a lot.
That's not what that's about. You know, if you're willing to open up to me, it's not about making fun of you and telling you, you know, you need to get over yourself. You need to, you know, do some other stuff. It's not that. Definitely ain't that.
But it's definitely having some, you know, being that person that's not going to ridicule them, and, you know, being that outlet helps a lot. So I think, you know, you might be downplaying your value in that aspect, but you're doing a lot more than you probably let on, because we all have issues. So, but, you know, just like Pastor said, sometimes just having someone to talk and listen. And you're right. Ultimately, they have to fix it themselves. But there are different techniques that I want to get into later on helping those things, because everything starts off small, like a seed. And so if you realize that you have a seed or a potential, you can control it in the beginning and keep it from turning into something big or major. So Maria down here, she asked a question for us. How many of y'all had done couples counselings? How did you think it helped your relationship? I will tell you, with me and my wife, when we first got married, like the first couple months, we went to our pastors at the time for counseling, because we were just bumping heads all the time. And so we needed another perspective. And so we went to them, and they was able to explain to us that, you know, our relationship, we're getting our dance steps together. It's kind of like getting dance steps. And so right now we're just stepping on each other's toes, because we don't know how to move or communicate. And it really helped put the whole thing in perspective with me, and understanding that, number one, we're not the only one that's going through this. That's what, talking to other preachers, you realize that somebody else has been through this, somebody else has gotten over this and ended up being fine, and you're going to be the same way. You can get over it, and you're going to be fine as well. And so that's what helped with us. And then, you know, just that whole knowledge, understanding that, you know, what's going on in our relationship is just a matter of, you know, us communicating and, you know, swallowing our own personal, you know, particular pride or whatnot, and then, you know, extending some, you know, understanding to the other person. So that will happen with us earlier in life. I don't know, you know, anybody else ever been through couples counseling? I know Drips, you mentioned it, that you started off with couple counseling. I don't know if you want to chime in on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Maria, for that question too.
Yeah, that's an awesome question.
Couples counseling, I believe, is very effective. For me, it was effective because it taught me how to communicate truly with my partner. Mm-hmm. See, I thought I had great communication skills, but I found out that I didn't, because I would communicate with my partner like I would communicate with my boys. And I thought she was supposed to understand me. For example, she would say, I love you, you know, every day, every other day. I say, I love you. And I thought, hey, that supposed to stick for the remainder of 6 months. Like, hey, I said I love you 3 months ago. I'm still here, so you should know I love you. It taught me how to reaffirm and reassure a person in a couple setting, that, you know, as men, we have a way to communicate with each other where we don't say too much. You know, we don't have to say too much to each other. You know, we can like, yeah, that was boom, 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 and that's it. But with women, I found out they're a little bit more detail orientated, shall I say. You have to go a little bit deeper. I just can't say, yeah, baby, the pancakes was hot, and then leave, and then leave it at that. But yeah, couples counseling for communication wise, and also to be able to go to your significant other and sit down and talk about some issues you're struggling with yourself, within or without, outside the relationship. It helps, especially on this tip, being mental health, and we talking about that, the other person don't know what you're going through if you don't tell them. The other person, can't, assist or even just be there to listen if you don't open up to them. So that's, a couple of counseling definitely works. If let me say, if both of you are committed to the process, it helps. If one person is in and one person is like, then it's like almost a waste of time. But if you both committed to the process, it would help out tremendously.
I feel like this is very important. I'm gonna let somebody else go real quick. I just want to say I feel like this is very important, when it comes to mental health, because our partners can be the major stressors in our life when we don't understand or know how to communicate. That's a weight that we'll carry all day, like, being upset at your partner or mad at them or something like that. It's a weight that you can carry all day to amplify any other issue. So I feel like that's important when it comes to mental health. Anybody else with their pastor or anybody else that go ahead?
Yeah, I would say for me, I went through many counseling, and God knows I need it. but I would.
You just came from your counselor.
Oh yes, I should. But I would say for me, it helped. I think it helped me out a lot because, like 85% of the time, I went into a counseling session like, are we really talking about this right now? But but through each session, it has helped me to get to the place to be more comfortable with talking, with speaking up, with being comfortable to do that and to show compassion and empathy for others when we are having those kind of conversations. But the thing about counseling that I love the most, even though I thought a lot of it was just like outlandish, but it did. And Pastor Times was like my counselor a lot of times, and he always sheds light. I like how he does it with me. He always sheds light on me for stuff for me to work on for myself. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to put that perspective out, because I hear everybody saying like their relationship, but he always, when he talked to me, like, this is what you can do to become a better person. And I just believe if you could be a better you, it'll help out any relationship period that you get into.
Anybody else been to couples counseling? Pastor. I know you probably done a lot of couples counseling. You did. We can't hear you, man. We don't know sign language either.
That's what you speak for yourself.
I'm back. I hit.
I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
Here, you can look this up later.
Oh man, but I've never been to no couples counseling. I think I know I shouldn't say that. My previous marriage, we went to probably 1 or 2 sessions, and neither one of us committed to it. So I also believe it can be great to help, but I've never committed to doing a full out session. So I know in my relationship now, if it comes to that, we've already discussed it. If it comes to that and we need to go and see somebody and figure out our differences or help us understand each other, I would definitely do it. So I would say I would definitely do it in the near future if it has to present itself.
Pastor, you finna say something?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Somebody was talking.
You're good.
No, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Okay, well, real quick, I went through couples counseling prior to getting married, and one of the things I always say is that I encourage people, any couple that's thinking about being married, I would honestly suggest you don't just go through the motions because you're just so in love. Get some real counseling so that you know what you're getting into. The more you know going in, the better chance you have of staying together. And then if you're in a situation or you already married and you need counseling, seek out a good counselor. And sometimes I know it's hard. Everybody say, well, we don't have money. It's some good counselors out there, and there are programs. If you do, just like we get on the internet and search everything else, if you really know that you need help or want help, you can search it out and find programs and different things that are pretty cost effective and in some cases free to get what you need. But couples counseling, I think, is a great thing. I will say this: if you for just free, something you can do for yourself. If you haven't heard of love languages or the love languages book or those things, I think that is one simple tool. They have a lot of stuff on the internet for the 5 love languages. That one tool is something that I think any couple can use, whether you're having problems or not, to begin to have a better understanding of what it means to communicate. I heard what our brother said about when he got into couples counseling, it changed the way he saw the way he was communicating because he thought his communication was good. Sometimes we think we're communicating, but the reality is you could be talking and saying a whole lot, but if the other person speaks a different language, you're still zero. So that's the only thing I was going to say. Definitely learn each other's love language. Learn how the other person communicates, because that's going to make a big difference in how you move through the counseling and what you get from it.
Yeah.
And of
So
course,
we got another question up here. It says, "What do us black men do or if for anybody, but he said black men, if we have no money for a sit down, a mentor, or anybody to talk to or rely on?" Which is very important. Which is to take us to the next portion of how do we deal with our mental health issues. So I want to get into Nick or Nate, one of you guys, if you want to chime in and just tell us whenever you feeling down, how do you pick yourself back up? What's the technique?
You had it, Nick.
I said either one of y'all. Go ahead, Nick. You've been voluntold.
They thinking for each other right now. You can see
They
it.
always do, man. They
You
always
can
do.
see that. You can see that working.
Exactly.
I think Matrix gave a good answer. So I'm somewhat elaborate on his. He was saying like even if you just got like a good family member, a loyal person you can just trust and listen to, that can listen to you with you knowing that he gonna hold everything in that you tell him. Yeah, just a nice family member, friend, somebody you know for a minute. Like I said, like we all said, we all should have that one person that you should be able to go to and spill out everything that you got on your chest out, and hopefully they'll keep that in. And if you need any suggestions or help with anything, they can either help you with that or they just sit there and just lend an ear.
Justin, you openly told us you had the gun to your head, and so obviously that was a low moment in your life. I can't say if it was the lowest or not, but obviously it was a low moment. So how did you bounce back from that?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're going to commit suicide, you're at a low point, right? So, kind of, my thought process was always is if I do this, it fixes my suffering, but it causes more, right? So, like my grandmother was still alive, and with my granddad just dying, what does that do for her? It leaves her completely alone at that point. So it's like, okay, I get it. I'm having a hard time, but it's not always about me, and life isn't always about me. It's sometimes like when you're married, you know, you're a part. It's a partnership. You know, it's you against the world. You know, I'm not perfect. I know I'm not perfect. I'm far from perfect, but it's fun. It's something to just keep yourself moving. Every day is a brand new day. Yesterday sucked. Tomorrow might not. You might have 4 or 5 days in a row that are absolutely shit. You're gonna going to have one really great day at some point. But if you're not around for that, then you'll never know it. And it's just making that decision of myself to, like, I could do this, but I'm not going to do this because I know that there's not necessarily a brighter day ahead, but there are better days ahead. And that if I continue to say to myself, I'm not perfect, and I'm open, I'm honest, I try to better myself every day, then it becomes a little bit easier to deal with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And some people's anguish is far worse than mine. Mine was at the moment, I had a crappy childhood until a certain point in my life, and then things got better. And then as the people that saved me started to disappear, which they're all gone now there would be no reason for me to keep going. But actually there is, because of my partner. And she's a great woman. She's always my rock. But she's not perfect, admittedly, like I'm not perfect. And we work on each other together, or she tells me what's wrong with me. And I reciprocate that, because again, it's a partnership. It's us against the world. We have to get better. If you don't communicate, like, the scrambled 70s porno screen there, it doesn't help each other. When you think that I communicate great. I told her I loved her 3 weeks ago. That doesn't fix anything.
Yeah.
I will tell my chick I love her until she's absolutely sick of hearing my voice, because I do. I love her to death. I do anything for her. And I know that feeling is exactly the same. I know when she wakes up in the morning, the first thing she thinks about is me and how am I doing. And when I get up every day at 3:30, it's the exact same thing. And I know that I had that to depend on. And I think that's a great thing. So, like, I don't necessarily need to go and find somebody anymore, because I know that I have that, and that conversation that I could have is unjudged, and it's just going to listen. But again, that's kind of like going to a therapist. Not there to fix. It's there to listen. It's that catharsis to be able to open up and to talk.
So one of the things I noticed, a couple of people commented on the side. I read that, I think it was Marcus or somebody said they didn't want to come in because it's a serious topic. It is a very serious topic. However, different people deal with their situations differently. And so that's something we have to realize, that, just because a person might be joking or laughing, that's their way of coping with some of the stuff. So we can't put our personal methods or our personal perspectives on everybody, because I'm that type of person. I like to laugh and joke. It makes me feel better, even if I'm in a tough situation, or it just helps me deal with it. It helps me focus on it. Some people like to do other methods. So just because someone is laughing or joking doesn't mean they're not serious about it. It's just their personality come on how they deal with it. So we got another that says, what if your partner, woman, wants couples counseling, but you men are hesitant to go? I would say personally that is a tough, could be a tough situation to be in, because obviously we can't force anybody to do anything. So what I would say is there's different techniques on how to get a person to come around. Of course, you have to find someone that person might be connected with, and build trust, like, introduce them to friends, or somebody like could be a pastor or a youth leader, or somebody that you want to counsel you. Change the situation, as opposed to just going to an office or to somebody. See if you can maybe invite them over for dinner, and just kind of basic communicate to lead it up to something. I wouldn't have to say it, but kind of set them up a little bit, because sometimes you have to break the walls down in order to get Black men to trust somebody and to tell you their business, and it's probably like that for anybody. So, those are just some of the techniques I would suggest. I'm not, a master at obviously getting people to go to counseling, because I've been that person where you'd be like, let's go to counseling. Nope, ain't nothing wrong with me. You can go. Let me know how it's been.
I think right now, though, is in the grand scheme of things of where we're at right now, generational wise, it's so easy to just open your laptop, do a Google search, and to be able to find something to share with somebody that says, hey, when you look at like couples counseling, there is going to be something that somebody says at some point in time that in some way you can relate to, that you can always bring to your partner and be like, hey, look, I'm not trying to say that you're imperfect, but I feel like as I look at couples as like businesses. Businesses are always working to improve. Mm-hmm. And if you can just say, hey, I feel like maybe we can do this better. I'm not saying that you're doing anything wrong, but I would love for you to just listen to this and tell me what you think. That's opening a door for letting a little bit of information come in. So maybe you can extrapolate a little bit out.
You trying to say I'm crazy?
It's just slowly opening that door. And if somebody says, you're crazy, that's okay. Again, it's chipping away at that barrier to get through. At some point in time, you're going to break through, or they're just going to completely shut down. And then you just, you as a person in a relationship, if you're at that point to where you're shutting down, counseling is needed. And if it doesn't happen, then that's why a lot of marriages fail. The numbers speak for themselves. 50% of all marriages fail within the first 2 years.
I think is higher than, you're talking about the first 2 years.
Yeah, like the first 2 years, gotta make it, because think about it, a lot of couples don't live together until they actually get together. Mm-hmm. So now you see, I have OCD issues because of my childhood. My house, everything has a place, everything in its place. My girlfriend wasn't like that. When she came to my house for the first time, it was an absolute culture shock because I freaked out how she washed the dishes because she didn't dry them right away. Because I can't handle water stains on my silverware. I'm not perfect, but that's just my personal thing that if I don't do it right, it drives me crazy. And she thought I was joking. And then one day I stopped saying it to her. And when I came home from work one day when she was here, she had washed the dishes, set them out to air dry. I didn't say anything to her, gave her a hug and a kiss like I always did when I come home. I went in the kitchen and started doing the dishes again. She said, what are you doing? I did them. I'm like, I know, it's okay. And then I think it finally clicked that she realized that I was not joking when I said that it truly bothered me. Now she understands that from me. So now together when she's here, we wash dishes together. It's a team event. She wash or I dry and she wash. It doesn't matter to me. But she opened up that door and listened to what I was actually saying. And she realized that what I was saying wasn't a joke.
Right. So I got a question for you on that. So obviously in your particular head, that drying, you didn't like water stains or drying the dishes right after, was a technique. But what about her and how she was raised? Perhaps that's how she was used to washing dishes.
Correct. So, and I was respectful of that. So I would, at that point, I'm not gonna give her crap about it anymore. I understand that she didn't do that. She wasn't raised that way. And I'm not here to change you, but to make my mental self okay, I will do it myself, and I'm not going to rub it into you that I'm doing it myself. Mm-hmm. I don't live in a big enough house to where like she has no idea that I'm in the kitchen redoing the dishes. Right. She knows where I'm at, right? So, but if I just go in there and I start doing it by myself, I'm not going to rub it in. I'm not, it's not like the dog going potty in the house. I'm not rubbing your nose in it. I'm going to take 20 minutes. I'm going to do this. It's going to make me mentally okay. And then we go about whatever we want to do. But I think by me doing that, it was just her finally seeing, okay, that really does bother him. It's not just him being weird, but it is weird. But she finally did realize that that's like a weird thing for me. And she understands this. Now she'll joke with me about it, which, I'm like you. I can take anything with stride and laugh through stuff with zero issue because I would prefer to laugh than anything else. Mm-hmm. But she also understands that she's not perfect by any means.
I think Justin, that that I know it was just a an example that you was using, but I think that's a very, very important example because people take those small issues, they don't know how to deal with it, and it continues to grow and grow, and so therefore it can put people in mental states where they're mad at people at work, or they just don't know how to
Yep.
deal with stuff. So I think part of that is your technique, and understanding that, okay, there goes that communication again, understanding that maybe this is how she was raised, this is how I was raised. So rather than me continue to beat up on this person or argue with this person, I'll just go ahead and do the dishes myself. And then hopefully she will understand that, that's just, you're not trying to say anything about her. This is just what you want done. So you took the initiative to have it done. So I think that's huge, because a lot of us, those are those small things that turn into big issues and weights in relationships that we carry all day. And so that's where the mental depression and these things come from, is weights that we're carrying with us throughout the whole day. And then something simple happens, and as many guys mentioned, and they end up snapping. So anybody else? Pastor, you still here with us, Pastor?
Yeah, actually, I'm getting ready to sign off. So I just want to take a second to say thank you again for allowing me to be on the show. To everyone out there that's listening, listen. Take the time to listen to each other. And if you're one of those that's suffering in silence, break the silence. Say something. If the people you say something to don't listen, go to someone else. But don't shut down. Don't let their ignorance stop you from getting the help you deserve and need. So that's the only thing I just have to say again to every one of you guys. You do an awesome job. Y'all know I watch the show. I comment a lot of times. I try not to get too carried away because I don't want to take over the show with my comments. But I really do appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for having me at the barbecue this week.
Oh, thanks for coming.
No problem. Appreciate you for
Love you,
being
man.
here.
Thanks for
All right,
coming
you
to the
guys-
barbecue this early in the morning.
Yeah, messed up my whole breakfast plan. The only thing I normally eat in the morning is bacon. But we good though. Hey, y'all keep it up, keep going, and God bless you all. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
Yeah.
God bless.
All right.
So, fellas, I want to get into some of these specific techniques that can help people. That's why we're
Coach A,
asking. Yes, sir.
I can get one question in. I know somebody put it up, but what happens when this goes to everybody on the panel and everybody in the comments and viewing online? What happens when you keep, and I kind of know the answer, but when you keep asking if someone's okay, and they really, that they're not okay, but they just don't give you anything. They don't give you no effort. They don't express themselves. They don't get anything out. Like, what happens then?
You
Well,
just continue to be supportive. Again,
Yeah.
it's not you can't force yourself into somebody's mental block.
Mhm.
But as long as you continue to just say the things like, "Hey, what's going on? Are you doing all right today?" If I tell you I'm fine and you know that I'm not, it's okay. Like again, you're not a fixer. You're supportive. You're the ally. You're trying to be that person that they can open up to. There's nothing that somebody can do. I mean, it's
That's true. That's true.
I just really think, trying to force your way into, I mean, you're not going to force your way into anybody in this, it doesn't matter if it's this group, your personal family, anybody's family around here. You're not forcing your way into anybody's feelings. It's just, if you consistently be around and just say, "Hey, you doing all right today?" If I finally, want to say, "Hey, I came to work today with my socks inside out," and then it just spirals out of control from there, then that's what you want to happen, but it's got to happen naturally.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you look at people that are addicted to stuff. When family members force them to go to rehabs and things like that, that doesn't usually work. It has to be from within that has to want to happen to be able to get to that point.
I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead, B.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Coach A. I think I'm a prime example because Nick can ask me something and he'll know something wrong with me, but I can sit here and tell him I'm good all day, and he'll know something wrong with me. You know what I'm saying? And he won't push it. You know, he'll ask 1 or 2 times. He might ask the third time, but he ain't gonna push it. And he'll ask. He'll keep checking up on me and make sure I'm straight and I'm good. And when Nick asked that question, I kind of felt like I was in the middle of that one because he asks me all the time. He'll do it like that's not just Nick. Anybody in my family, because I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I don't know how to hide it. So if something's wrong with me, they'll ask, and a lot of the times, probably 90% of the time, I tell them, "Nah, I'm good, I'm straight." You know what I'm saying? But I think that works different for different situations. As far as you don't want to push nobody. I think in our situation, they kind of Nick, Nate, and anybody else that asks me that, they'll kind of give me a little pushback because they know I need to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? And I accept that because they're my brothers. I wouldn't let nobody off the street that's not my brothers gonna push me and talk like that. Only my brothers can push me to get me to talk like that and express myself. So when Nick said that, I kind of felt that I had to chime in on that because he know that's why he's smirking. He know exactly what he's talking about.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
No, put it up. But it was for both of y'all. But I do got another thing. I don't know if did y'all watch the I Am Athlete video I sent y'all?
Yeah, I watched it 3 times.
Which one was it?
It wasn't about the mental health. It was just about men getting stuff, being emotional. So one thing Brandon Marshall did, and I want to do it on the show right now. He went through everybody and he just asked from 1 to 10, what is y'all mental state right now? I mean, if you want to elaborate, I would like you to, but if not, you don't have to. So, I mean, we can start with Nate, or he probably going somewhere. Start with Mr. Drip.
I'm about at an 8.
So what 1 through 10 mean? 10 being the best?
10 being where you feel like you're perfect, your mental health is good, not your physical health.
Okay.
Yeah,
mental health. If it was physical health, I had to.
So have you watched that or no? Hey.
I think I did see it. They send so much stuff, man. We be watching so much stuff. I'll have to
our group chat is full with videos.
So to elaborate, like with Nick, so what was it? It was Ocho,
Fred, Chad, and Shane.
And so Chad let loose.
Yeah, Chad let loose. Yeah.
Because Chad had just lost his grandmother.
His mother.
His mother. And Chad was having a rough time.
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry, Justin. Go ahead.
Oh, you're good.
So the answer to Nick's question about the mental health thing, and when I watched it, I kind of got emotional because I kind of was in this Chad state when I was thinking about my dad. So when my pop passed, of course, I felt like my mental was at a sky high. I was great. But when my pop passed, my mental, I could say it probably went down to about a 4. It probably went down to about a 4. And I said it earlier in the podcast. My dad called me when he knew something was wrong. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't got that no more. You know what I'm saying? And I can only speak from my experiences. I can't talk for nobody else. But my mental was at a 4. I think right now that we're getting through it and I'm grieving and going through this and that, it's probably at a 7. It's probably at a 7. It's not at a sky high rate like I thought it was before my pop passed, but it's probably at a 7. And I say it's at a 7 because of recent events. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'm stable sometimes, but there's times that I know I'm not stable. My body tells me I'm not stable. You know what I'm saying? My body talks to me all the time. And I know I'm good, man. I can go out there and play 20 basketball games. You know what I'm saying? But my body will talk to me and be like, nah, bro, you're not right. So that's just me. I'm at a 7 with mine, nigga. I kind of felt what Ocho was talking about. You know what I'm saying? There's times that I'll sit in my room and I go through my chat. Like, I haven't deleted my pop's chat off my phone. I go through and read just so I can anticipate and hear his voice. You know what I'm saying? I do stuff like that. Like, every time I go to bed, because I'm the last one to go to bed in the house, I make sure the door's locked, windows is closed. I check on the kids before I lay down. I got this picture of my pop in the hallway. You know what I'm saying? Every time I pass that picture at night, I say good night, Pop. You know what I'm saying? So it's still bothering me. And like Pastor said earlier, it's nothing that I'm gonna get over. It's just something I'm gonna have to live with. It's something I'm growing to live with. So just with saying all that, my mental is at a 7 right now. I think it's getting better. You know what I mean? But it'll never be skyrocket ever again like I thought I had it at one point.
Well, I think it can be skyrocketed again. It can be. It's going to start with you believing that and telling yourself that also.
And you're right.
I don't want to get into a session, but
No. It does start with me. It's just I shouldn't say it'll never. That's probably the wrong words that I said. I probably should say never. At this point, it's moving slowly, which is going to take time for me. And I got to get that confidence in myself and be like, all right, brother.
But that's okay though, because you're working on you, right? I mean, part of it is we're talking about it, right?
Right.
All right. So you're a 7. I'm a 5. I'm always a 5.
Right.
I'm always on the fucking borderline of losing my shit.
Yeah.
But I know what I am. I'm accepting of that. Okay. So like, so like, my grandmother and I, we watched for almost 2 years. My grandfather died of cancer. We took care of him for the longest time before we decided to send him to hospice. Now, I can sit here and I can think about that negative for him because it was rough. It tore me up way more. Like mentally, I was a 1. But I don't think about that anymore. I can. I think about, so like the day that he died, I drove out to where he was at and I sat there with him for about an hour before they took his body away. I'd never seen a dead person die, especially the most important person in my life. Fucking rough. Always be rough, but I don't think about that anymore. I think about spending time in the garden with him. We're all rednecks, so like sitting in the back room of the house eating raw potato and watching sports on TV and shit. Just old silly stuff. That's the stuff I think about now, and it keeps me from losing it.
Yeah.
So like last year I lost my grandmother, so now my family's gone, but it's not. I still have those great feelings, all those great things. Plus I have my rock, which is my lady. And if I was to lose her or she was to move on because I'm batshit insane, I'd find somebody else, or that I think that I'm comfortable enough within myself to continue to go on. Right? So, but I know that I am a project. I'm no different than a race car. I need work every single day before I go out. In my body, I'm getting old. I have to listen to my body just like you do, right?
Right.
So in that living room over there, there's a yoga mat, yoga ball. There's some equipment in the front room of my house because I'm getting old, fat. I've always been fat, but I'm fatter and slower. And before I do anything, like I have to prepare myself physically for that, to do that. And it's just, but if I lie to myself, like, no, I'll be good. I go out here, play 36 holes of golf, I'll be good. I'm not walking for 2 days. Not if I don't stretch. Not if I don't do yoga for an hour. It's just a simple fact of it. But I think part of being able to wake myself up every day and go through the battle of life, it's realizing that we slowly change every day by day. And it's coming to that fact and that realization that that sometimes that happiness that we used to have, we can't depend on it anymore, but sometimes it's a good crutch. It absolutely is. Like I got pictures of my grandparents here in my kitchen. I bought these 2 little flowers that have their each individual pot. One name is Betty Jane. The other one is John Edward. And I get to look at them every day when I come home. And they're still with me. They're not gone. They're not forgotten. They're here with me every day.
Absolutely.
So Nate, did you hear the question?
No, I didn't hear the question.
So the question was mentally 1 to 10, where you at and why, if you want to give your explanation.
Oh, yeah, I ain't gonna get a why. But I'm probably at like a 7 or an 8. Because I I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I ain't finna get no why, but everything is good. And if I need to talk about something, like I said, me and Nigga talk about it, and me and Ma talk about it, or it just don't get talked about, and then that's the end of it.
Jimmy.
I would say the same. I would say a 7 and an 8. Because like I told you, my whole mentality is like no matter what's going on, I feel like my life can always be better. But I also feel like I got it better than so many people. You know what I'm saying? So and I don't really have. I can't say I really have anything that I'm worrying about or that's stressing me out or nothing like that. So I can say I'm in a pretty good state right now.
Coach A.
I'm at a 10, and I'm always at a 10. And there's never going to be a time in my life where I'm not at a 10. And so I don't, I want to explain it to you guys. I want to let Drip go first, or I can just go ahead and let y'all know where I'm at with that,
Oh,
because
right before you go,
you know
people in
how
the
I can
comments,
get.
yeah, people in the comments are viewing. Let us know where y'all at and why. And if
They
y'all want
already
to,
are.
we'll speak on it. Go ahead, Coach.
So
Unless Drip got more to say.
yeah, go ahead, Drip. Go first, Drip.
Okay, well, as I said, I'm at an 8 today. For me, every day is a different day.
Right.
So today I was at 8. Yesterday I was about at a 5 or a 4 because things wasn't working out the way I needed them to work out. Tomorrow I may be at a 10. It just depends on my days and situation. But overall, I'm mostly at an 8. And I wake up at an 8 because I woke up. And that's what I tell people every day. If you wake up, endless possibilities for the day. Don't forget about tomorrow. If you can't control certain things or a lot of things, but if that man wakes you up every day, be happy for that, because you have an opportunity to change the outcome that you couldn't change yesterday. So y'all remember that. I gave y'all that.
I gave y'all that. So again, with me, it happened about 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago. I started reading books about behavior and belief and mind and thoughts like that, and just seeing myself, how I go through different times. I started realizing that and I can't speak for anybody else, even though I believe the human individual, we're all built the same way and we all have the same techniques. It's just rather if you choose to believe it or not. Belief is the most important thing in your life, is your belief and your perspective. And so if you telling yourself that you're an 8, then your whole body is going to do everything that it can to show you that that's an 8. Or if you say you're a 5, or if you say you're a 10, whatever you decide, your body is going to show you that. Your mind, that's just how we work in any aspect. It'll show you that. So it just a matter of what your perspective is. So with me, I decided that I was going to make sure that I have nothing but good days. No matter what the situation is, I made sure that I'm going to look at the positive aspect of any situation. Any situation. It doesn't matter if I have to deal with grief or if I have to deal with hurt or whatever it is. I'm going to look for the positive in those things, which me personally, I call it the godly factor. The reason being is because at the end of the day, we're all responsible for our own personal mental health. Justin said it several times. Nobody can fix anybody else but them. We can't fix nobody else but ourselves. And that starts with our perspective. If you look at something and say, this is bad, then you're gonna feel like it's bad. And one of the things that I just want to read this to you that I've kept with me, I call it the formula of life. It says, whatever you expose yourself to, positive or negative, is going to determine the outcome of your thinking, positive or negative. Whatever you think about positive or negatively is going to determine your emotions, positive or negative. Your positive or negative emotions will determine your decisions, positive or negative. Your decisions will determine your actions, positive or negative. Your actions will determine your habits, positive or negative, and your habits will determine your character, positive or negative. Your character will determine your destination, positive or negative. So we always have a choice in any situation that we're faced with. We can't control the environment, we can't control people. The only thing that we can control is our personal perception and how we view things. And believe it or not, we can control our emotions. Initially, some of these things will get away from us, but if you just think back to the way you want to feel and how you want to experience life, you can change your emotions around. Emotions make great slaves but terrible masters. And I feel like if we have a better control over our thoughts and our emotions, then we're going to have a better experience in life, because there's nothing new under the sun. Everybody here is either dealt with it or going to deal with loss. They deal with love, deal with bad relationships, deal with pain. There's nothing new under the sun. So I feel like if we understand that, and that life is a tide, it goes in and it goes out, that we can have a great day truly, and you can have great mental health. There's no reason you can't be at a 10 because you want to be at a 10. That's the thing. If you want to be at a 10, tell yourself you're a 10 every single day. And that's just how I deal with life and how I view things. And this has helped me because it keeps me in a positive mentality. So that's just one of the techniques that I do, that I use. So yeah, I'm a 10, brothers. And
Hey,
I'm
Nick, you
always
ain't give
here.
yours.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, I was just saying Nick ain't give his.
Oh yeah, I ain't nobody asked me,
I was
but
just saying.
but I mean, I think I'm at a 10, like Coach A said. I think most of my I guess problems or issues is just being open. You know what I mean? Like I do hold a lot in. T asks me all the time, you know, what's going on. I tell her everything good. I mean, everything is good. Like I always say, another day to get it right when I wake up. So
Yeah.
the day I have a bad day, that's the day I ain't waking up. So I hope I ain't having no bad days no time soon. But yeah, I'm at a 10. Everything good. It's just about me opening up a little bit more and I guess being more emotional, I guess, when people ask. But other than that, I'm good.
So like I like Coach A's thing. I do. But that works for him. And I think the thing to walk away with is that that's how he does things. And everybody's different, right? So before the Trump shit and everything else, like I would say we were all snowflakes. Okay. And I didn't mean that in a bad way, but like no snowflake is like any other. Okay. We're all individuals. We're all different by lots of ways. So however you choose to cope. So I look at things from a learning perspective always, because I never want to stop learning. That should always be like a goal for people. And I think the people in this group understand that. But, you know, if you have a bad day, you can always learn from that later to try to understand what went wrong and how you perceived that and how things unfolded and how you mentally handled something like that. So maybe you can deal with a little bit better later down the road. Not always being a 10 is not a negative. It's just that moment in time, and truthfully, you're not always prepared for everything. You're not prepared for a loss of life. You're not prepared for lots of things that you will be exposed to. You're just not. Nobody prepares for somebody to die. You know, whether it's hospice care or not, when it happens, it happens. And, it's how you perceive it and take it and learn from it. And, and being able to, I'm not going to say better yourself, but being able to see where you were at mentally at that time. And then that's how I look at things. Today was a good day. Let's try to have 2 in a row.
Right.
But if I don't have 2 in a row, then that's okay. because I can start fresh and new, and we can go at it again. Because if I wake up, then that opportunity is there, and it's my opportunity to take, right? Because I am my own boss. I am in charge of me, and whatever comes my way comes my way.
So quick question, Justin, why you can't say that you have 2 days in a row? Like
I'm not saying
why,
that I don't have 2 days in a row.
no,
I'm
no,
just
this is the
saying that
question. Why does what happened in that day has to dictate if it's a good day or not?
it's just how I perceive it.
Okay.
It's just
Right.
how
That's the
it's
point
just
I'm
how
making. It's
you
your
want to
perception.
mentally say that no matter what comes my way, I'm never going to bounce around. I'm never going to be below this. I like I told you where I'm at every day from a number perspective. Okay,
Is that where you want to be?
That's me, and that's me being honest with myself and with everybody here and with everybody watching. Okay, I'm not holding no secret veil.
No,
in front
it
of
was
me.
I was asking,
But
is that where you want to be?
I don't necessarily say I want to ever be there, but I'm not uncomfortable being here. Sometimes it helps drive me to be someplace else.
Right. So that's why I was asking.
It drives me to open my mind and say, could I have handled this a little bit better? Can I be a better person and just ignore that person that was doing something to me that maybe got under my skin? Just, same thing with you, however, you look at things from a different positive light. I might retreat back into my shell and then I think about it later. And that's how I am. I'm not saying that I can't be like you are. I'm just telling you that I'm not.
Right. No, I'm not asking you to be like me. I'm asking you, and you said that you're a 5. And so I'm asking you, do you want to be a 5 or would you rather be a 10? And why? And so why can't, what's keeping you from looking at the day saying this is a 10 day? What, you know what I'm saying?
Because I'm honestly real with myself. I know that every day I do wake up and there will be a different Justin. I can be an absolute asshole. We all can wake up in a bad mood. If I'm just being honest with myself. Do I would always want to be a 10? Absolutely. Absolutely. I also want it to rain puppies and kitties.
You say you want to rain what?
Puppies and kitties.
Puppies and kitties.
Nah, they can keep them kitties.
I'm just being honest with you. I understand what you're saying, but for me, where I'm at mentally, I am comfortable with me being a 5. It drives me to be greater.
Right. So you want
to have a better day.
You want to be a 5, yeah.
So it's not that I always want to be that, but I am comfortable with where I'm at in my skin. And if I dip down to a 2, and then I think to myself, okay, maybe tomorrow I don't look at these things the same way. I can get myself back to a 5, and then maybe the next day we can look at things and maybe we can get ourselves up to a 7.
So
and it's just those steps of life of trying to always, I'm not gonna say be better, but maybe be the better person, to open myself up to growth, to seeing the things around me and not being closed-minded as much.
But that's the same point that I'm trying to make, is that same thought or perception that you had, that you said, if I drop down to a 2 today, then I need to get back up to a 5. So that's the same thing that I'm saying, that if you had a 5, you could say, I need to get to a 10. So that's the only thing I'm saying. I understand that that's you, but when we're talking about, and first of all, the human body, we're different individuals based on our experiences and how we're raised, but the human body itself is the same. We both get cut and heal the same way. And so our minds and our behavior and our belief system are formed the exact same way. We was created the same way. And so that's the only point I'm trying to make, is that we do truly have the power of changing our perception. And if we change our perception, we can also change our emotion and our behavior about certain things. There's a technique that I learned, fellas. There's even with trauma in the past, there's a technique that I was intrigued with on how to well, let me just go through a couple points that I made to help do these things, so that the people that's listening and paying attention, we all understand how to better ourselves when it comes to the mental health, because we went through a whole lot. Communication. Everybody agreed that having someone to talk to is very important when you feel like your mental health is dropping down. Right, we can agree on that. I just want to
Yeah.
go over some of these facts so it doesn't get lost in our conversation. Having someone to talk to and communicate with is very important, either if it's a friend, a therapist, a coach, or a mentor. I feel like that's very important, and we all agree on that. And some of the other things, some of the other techniques that I have too will also be prayer and meditating. Right, people have different ways of praying and meditating and bringing their mind to a calm state. Some people believe in prayer and some people believe in meditation, but whatever your technique is, it should be utilized on a regular basis. These are things to help bring you back to that state where you're comfortable and you're fine, and it should be utilized every single day or as often as you can. So some people like to work out, or some people like to do yoga stretching, or whatever that is. Some people have prayer groups. I think that's very important that you do that. And another thing is understanding that our thoughts, the experience from your environment, what you surround yourself with. If you're dealing with something negative and you surround yourself around negative people and more watching negative movies and listening to negative stuff, it's not going to help bring you back to your comfort zone or that comfort stage. It's just impossible to do that, or it's going to take a lot longer. I can't say it's impossible. It's going to take a lot longer. So you have to surround yourself with positive people, look at positive things, listen to positive music to help channel your thoughts back to where you want to be. And so those are just some of the things that I think is important that we should put out there on helping, because everybody can't afford a counselor or, get to speaking with people and stuff like that. So these are personal techniques that you can use to help you deal with some of these things if you're going through. And I just think it's important that we put those things out there. So I know that, our guys that you see here on the panel is always available to be, to reach out to, as B, Jimmy, I know is, Nick and Nate. I'm not, I'm sure they're there as well. Johnny Drip, they wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be here having this podcast if we're not available for people to reach out to us, send us a Facebook message if there's some things you want to talk about or get off your chest, and we can help you. At least we can be an ear. We're not going to spread your business out there. We're just going to be an ear to help you, and ultimately maybe lead you to a counselor or somebody that can help you. So
I think Jimmy has something, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, I just wanted. We're approaching 2 hours, but before I don't know who's gonna close us out, but before we do that, I just want to say this again. Next week, ladies, we're gonna be doing the same thing, and we would love for as many of you to come on, give us your perspective. If you need to vent or something that you want to say that can help somebody else, please, hit somebody up in a DM, the Family Talk and our DM. We could get you the email. We could get you up on here. We would love to hear from you. This is something that we're going to continue to use to help not just ourselves but others to grow. And this is going to help somebody.
And just to chime off what Jimmy just said, like he said, ladies, and now I never really emphasize this, and I'm gonna emphasize it this time because we do want ladies on. We want ladies on for the live to speak so they can hear your voice as well. So please, like Jimmy just said, hit up our inbox. We know a couple that already said they don't mind coming on. So if any other ladies are out there that's listening or watching right now, that show is going to be strictly surrounded about you guys. We're going to be here to listen. This one was about the men. Next week we want to hit with the ladies. So just to chime off what you said, Jimmy, it's going to be about the ladies next week. We're going to let y'all talk, let y'all run family talk, and help us men understand women's mental health as well.
Real quick, I don't know if you guys wanted. We never talked about. Maria talked about the chemical aspect. The difference between mental illness and mental health. And so I've knowing that this was the topic, I was doing some research this whole week about that. And so obviously it's, towards the end, I don't want to wrap it up, but I would say definitely read and do some research, because initially the theory was chemical imbalance was the cause of a lot of mental illness and depression and stuff like that. But there's been new studies that come out that prove that the chemical imbalance is not necessarily what's causing these issues, or or just taking medicine as well. So that's just definitely before we accept a lot of information, we have to do the research to make sure that it's the truth. It's the truth. But just me personally, again, I feel like it's definitely important that we talk about it and have someone to communicate with. And I appreciate you guys coming on here, Justin. Definitely you because explaining what you've been through and how you was able to get out of it. And you too, Johnny Drip, of course. Appreciate you, John. Any last words, Johnny? I mean, it's hard not seeing you, man.
I know, man.
I hate that.
I don't understand. I told you, Jimmy did something to my screen, man. He did it on purpose. It just came out of nowhere.
We'll make sure we get that fixed by
right,
next
man. Tell me get this malware up off my computer, man.
I bet you won't say nothing bad about Deontay Wilder again.
Not no more, man. Not no more. I ain't gonna say nothing. I praise the man. But man, for me to on parting words, look, Jimmy already texted me throughout the week. I'd like to thank him for it, because he don't know how much that means to me that we can just chop it up about boxing and stuff. Because I'll be sitting at work and I'm just like sitting there like, God, letting my mind wander. And then he come in. I like, cool.
Jimmy good about just jumping in.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'll be at work too. He'll just call me. I'll be have to tell him, hey, bro, I'm at work.
But those
you have all that free time when you work for the city.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Those type of things actually help me.
Yeah.
Just to have a conversation about just sports or a movie or anything. So
yeah,
just like you fellas, man. Y'all got the Facebook page, the number. Hit me up, man. Just hit me up, man. If we'll just talk, we ain't got to talk about nothing deep. We can just talk about, man.
Chop it up.
Just chop it up, man. Yeah. But we ain't gonna talk about no Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury. I'm on my screen. I'm on my screen back, man.
Jimmy punished that man for almost 2 hours, y'all. Jimmy.
You got Jimmy malware.
My final thought is not really a final thought. I think we already got our thoughts on, but I just want to thank everybody for chiming in, for listening. I caught a moment during the show, and just to get some of that off my chest in front of you guys. And it's hard for me. It's hard for me to express myself in front of men sometimes. But just to get my stuff off my chest in front of you guys, I appreciate you guys for listening. I appreciate you guys. Not only do I appreciate you guys, I love you guys. But I thank you guys for listening, and everybody that was in the comments, I thank y'all for commenting. And let's bring that same energy for the females next week.
Yes, sir.
They also said on the episode, no layups, all dunks. Man, everybody was putting it out there today, and I almost teared up when Brandon was talking about our dad and stuff. But yeah, that's why we do this, and that's why we here. We want to talk about the stuff that's hard to talk about, and today was clearly hard enough. I know me and Nate especially. Every time something been like hard to talk about, me and Nate always got some type of joke to bring into the room. Yeah. I mean, this wasn't the case today. I think we just wanted to keep it a little bit on the serious side. We got a couple of jokes in, but like I said, it's hard to talk about, but I'm glad we did it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Well, I'm gonna leave on a funny note. Don't hold it in. Let it out, because you might run up on somebody who going through something and they're going to put it out on you. So let it out.
He'll put it out on
Are you
you.
talking about farts or are you talking about something else?
Exactly.
Hey, whatever, cleans your soul.
So whatever cleans your soul. Well, that's what's up. I think you got last word, Coach A. Or Jimbo, you got something else you want to plug in for you, Rod?
Nah, man. I just appreciate this podcast. Period, man.
Hold up.
Yes, sir.
To be open and transparent.
Yes,
I
sir.
ain't said like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Hey,
Go to
Nick,
YouTube.
And comment.
Nick, we got an ending credits now, so we gonna see that picture at our ending credits. So
I'ma still say it.
hey, do your thing, brother. Do your thing.
Go ahead, Coach A. Unless Justin, you got something to say?
No. I'm just
I say
appreciative
Justin.
of this.
He said, "I said Justin."
You know what? Because I'm tired of y'all cutting me off in this show. It ain't gonna happen too much longer. But go ahead, Justin.
Are you done, Queen?
Yeah, I'm done now.
I want you to live I want you to live your best life, sis. Are you done?
You can continue.
Okay. All right. So my closing words is for those that are out there that feel like it's tough to talk, there is always an avenue, and it's the suicide prevention hotline.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to be at that point to call it. They're there for a reason. So I'm part of a program called 22 a day because there's a minimum of 22 veterans a day that kill themselves from PTSD and other things because they feel that they don't have somebody to talk to. And that number's freely out there. Call it. They'll listen. They're not going to fix you, but they'll listen. Okay? That's it for me.
Do you have that number?
Saying,
you can type. You have the comment on your screen, right?
I can't type.
Oh, okay. I feel like just
Hey, what I do, Coach A, I have Sam put it out on our Facebook page.
Yeah,
and,
that's a good idea because I feel like we dropped the ball with that portion. That was a huge point, is being able to leave these numbers up there for people to be able to call, because everybody don't want to talk to us, so they might want to be able to call and get the, and there's also prayer lines too. So I think that's important. People approach it different ways. So just that's the avenue, having someone to talk to. So again, we appreciate everybody that chimed in. Our stance definitely that mental illness is real, and it can't be swept under the rug. And so it has to be dealt with. And so we went through some strategies in dealing with it, communicating with somebody, counselor, friend, whoever it is. And then it was very important. That's your first step, is reaching out and talking to somebody. Very first step. If you have a spouse or a friend or relative or pastor or mentor or coach or somebody, pull them aside and just have a conversation with them. Do not hold it in. Do not suppress it. Go continue to talk to somebody. And so again, we want to thank everybody that chimed in. Matrix, Maria, who else was on the side talking?
There was a lot. We had
a lot.
Yeah, it's hard to name, but sorry if we don't say y'all's names. So we had Teresa. We had a lot of people. Marquise, we answered one of his questions today. There's a lot. So you guys get up with us next week so we can hear from the woman perspective. And Maria already said she's gonna gather some things up, and she ready to go. All sound like. So
she's ready to go.
She's ready to go. So we'll be more than happy to let you run that show, Maria. And let's speak on it for the females aspect. But that's all we got today.
That's it. Let's wrap it up. We out.
All right, y'all.
They wasn't worried about me last year when the cashier sent me to my car when I came short. Now I got the game torn. They either hate it or love it. Slim chances on advances, I just balance the budget. Fuck it, free my niggas on my Harriet Tubman. They said I'd never be the greatest, that's a scary assumption. But now I'm buzzing like the last shot. Got these lames tired, old niggas about to pass out.